My daughter wrote, "Don't expect us for Christmas 2025. We're going to my husband's parents. They're important." I didn't respond. I just closed all her accounts. The next morning, she appeared at my doorstep. "I'm glad you're here with me. Please like this video and listen to my story until the end, and let me know which city you're listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled." I never thought my own daughter would break my heart on a Tuesday morning, but there it was, glowing on my phone screen like a tiny bomb. "Don't wait for us at Christmas. We're going to Perry's parents. They matter more than you do right now. Please respect that." Before that message, my life was ordinary and predictable. I was 65 years old, living alone in the modest brick home my late wife, Eleanor, and I had bought 42 years ago in Dayton, Ohio. Eleanor had been gone for 4 years, but I had built a routine. Morning coffee on the back porch, volunteering at the Veterans Hall on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Sunday dinners that I'd cook for Linda, my only daughter, and her husband, Perry Collins, whenever they had time. Lately, that wasn't often. I'd noticed the changes slowly. Linda used to call every few days just to check in. Then it became once a week, then every 2 weeks. When she did call, Perry was always there in the background, and the conversations felt stiff and rehearsed. She'd ask how I was doing, but she never waited long enough to hear the real answer. "Dad, we can't make it Sunday," became her favorite phrase. Still, I told myself it was normal. She was 36, building her career in sales. Perry worked in construction management. They were busy. Young couples needed their space. I remembered being that age, caught between parents and independence. But then came the requests. "Dad, could you help us with the down payment for a new truck?" Just $45,000. Perry lost his vehicle in a repo. "We'll pay you back." I said yes. Eleanor's life insurance and our savings meant I could afford it. "Dad, Perry's business loans are killing us. Could you help? Maybe $62,000. Again, I said yes. What else was the money for if not to help my child? I didn't cry. I didn't call. I didn't text back. Instead, I opened my laptop, logged into my bank account, and looked at the list of accounts I'd opened for Linda over the years. The savings account I'd been depositing money into since she was born. The investment account Eleanor and I had set up for her future. The money market account I'd added to last year. My fingers were steady now. I closed every single one. The numbers on my computer screen blurred together. I had to blink several times before I could see them clearly. $684,000. That was how much I'd saved for Linda over 36 years. Eleanor and I had started the first account the day Linda was born. $150 a month, every month, no exceptions. Even when money was tight, even when we had to skip our own vacation or drive our car an extra year. We never missed a deposit. "This is for her future," Eleanor used to say. "College, wedding, house, whatever she needs." I'd continued after Eleanor died. In fact, I'd increased the deposits. What else did I have to spend money on? Linda was my only child, my only family. And now, with 3 clicks, I'd transferred every penny into a new account, one with only my name on it. My hand moved to the mouse again. The joint account we'd opened 3 years ago, the one Linda had convinced me we needed for emergencies, showed a balance of $142,000. Money I'd deposited over the months for just in case. She had full access to it. I changed the account settings, removing her name. Then I transferred that money too. $826,000, now completely out of her reach. I sat back in my chair, my heart pounding. What had I just done? My phone buzzed. A text from my neighbor, Frank. "Card game Thursday. We need a 4th. I ignored it. I couldn't think about card games right now. Instead, I opened a spreadsheet and started documenting everything. Every loan, every transfer, every promise of repayment that had never materialized. $45,000 for the truck. Never mentioned again. $62,000 for business loans. No idea if they were even paid. $88,000 for house renovation. I'd never been invited to see the finished work. $35,000 last April that Linda said was for medical bills. $48,000 in June for credit card debt. $96,000 in 9 months. None of it repaid. None of it even acknowledged. And that didn't include the accounts I just closed. That was money she didn't even know she'd lost yet. I felt sick. Not because of the money. I could afford the loss. It was because of what it meant. My daughter had been using me systematically and deliberately. How long had this been going on? Had she ever intended to pay me back, or had I just been a convenient bank account with unlimited funds and no questions asked? Wednesday morning, I sat in the office of Patricia Thornton, attorney at law. Her office was on the 3rd floor of a renovated building downtown, with large windows overlooking Main Street. Everything about it said competence. The organized shelves, the framed degrees from Ohio State, the way she'd looked me in the eye when she shook my hand. "Mr. Hayes, tell me everything," she said, opening a yellow legal pad. I did. I walked her through the timeline. The money, the growing distance, the cruel message, the accounts I'd closed. Patricia listened without interrupting, taking notes in quick, precise handwriting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "Mr. Hayes," she finally said, "you did the right thing closing those accounts, but we need to move quickly. If your daughter has been accessing joint accounts, she may try to empty others before you can protect them." My stomach dropped. "What others?" "Any account with her name on it. Any credit card where she's an authorized user." "Do you have life insurance? Is she listed as a beneficiary?" "Yes, she's the sole beneficiary." Patricia wrote something down. "We need to review your entire estate today, if possible. I want to see every account, every insurance policy, every asset. Can you get me those documents?" I brought them. I pulled out the thick folder I'd prepared last night. She looked impressed. "Efficient, I like that." For the next hour, we went through everything. Patricia's expression grew darker with each page. "Mr. Hayes, this is financial exploitation. Legally, because you gave her the money willingly, it's difficult to classify as elder abuse, but the pattern is clear. She and her husband have been systematically extracting your assets. Can I get the money back? Unlikely. You'd have to prove it was a loan, not a gift, and that's hard without written agreements. But we can prevent future losses. I recommend 3 immediate steps." She counted them on her fingers. "First, change your will. Remove Linda as executor and beneficiary. Choose someone else. A trusted friend, a charity, anyone but her. Second, revoke all powers of attorney if you've granted any. Make sure she has no legal authority over your finances or medical decisions. Third, document everything. Every text, every call, every interaction from this point forward. If she threatens you, harasses you, or tries to coerce you, we need proof. It's my money. You saved it for me. You said it was for my future." I looked at her then. Really looked at her. Her face was twisted with anger, but there was something else underneath. Panic. Desperation. "It was for your future," I said. "But your future doesn't include treating me like I don't matter." Her expression changed. Just for a second, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Guilt. Shame. But then Perry's voice cut through the air. "Linda, did you ask him yet?" I turned. Perry was getting out of the passenger seat of the Lexus, his designer jacket over his shoulder, his expression hard. He walked up the driveway like he owned it, his boots heavy on the pavement. "Willard," he said, not quite smiling, "we need to talk." I didn't invite them inside. We stood there on my front porch, the December wind cutting through our coats. Across the street, I could see Frank's curtains move. He was watching. "There's nothing to talk about," I said, trying to unlock my door. Perry stepped closer, blocking me again. "Actually, there is. You just stole $680,000 from your daughter." "I didn't steal anything. That money was always mine. You promised it to her." Perry's voice was sharp now, the pleasant mask slipping. "You told her it was her college fund, her inheritance. You can't just take it back. I can, and I did. Linda grabbed my arm, not hard, but firmly enough that I stopped moving. Dad, what's going on with you? This isn't like you. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back up at her face. Let go of me. Not until you explain. Let go now. Something in my voice made her release me. I stepped back, putting distance between us. You want an explanation? Fine. I'm tired of being used. I'm tired of giving and giving while you take everything and offer nothing in return, not even basic respect. We haven't used you, Perry started. $540,000 in 9 years. I interrupted. Truck, loans, renovations, medical bills, credit cards. Should I continue? How much of that have you paid back? They were quiet, but I wasn't okay. Not really. I'd just turned my daughter away from my door. I'd confronted her about money and lies and manipulation. I'd seen the real panic in Perry's eyes when I'd asked about their debts. What had they gotten themselves into? And more importantly, what would they do next? The next few days passed in a strange, hollow quiet. I didn't hear from Linda or Perry. My phone stayed silent except for concerned messages from Frank and a few friends from the Veterans Hall. I spent Thursday morning meeting with Patricia again, signing the new will that left everything to a mix of charities and my late wife's brother, Uncle Raymond. Linda was mentioned only to explicitly exclude her from inheriting anything. This takes effect immediately, Patricia explained, and I'm filing it with the county clerk today. I nodded, my pen hovering over the signature line. This was it, the final step, the ultimate declaration that I would not be manipulated anymore. I signed. Friday, I didn't get out of bed until noon. The weight of everything pressed down on me. I'd stood up for myself, yes. I'd protected my assets, but I'd also severed something with my daughter, something that might never be repaired. Saturday, Frank insisted I come over for dinner. I didn't want to, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. You need food, and you need company, he said firmly. 6 o'clock. Don't make me come drag you over. I went. His wife Marie made pot roast, and we sat in their warm kitchen talking about anything except Linda. It was exactly what I needed. Sunday morning, I woke up feeling different, stronger. The hurt was still there, but underneath it was something solid, something that felt like resolve. I'd done the right thing. Whatever happened next, I'd protected myself, and I wouldn't apologize for that. I made coffee, sat on my back porch despite the cold, and watched the neighborhood wake up. My phone rang, unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mr. Hayes? An unfamiliar male voice. This is Detective Morris from the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. I'm calling about a fraud investigation involving your daughter, Linda Hayes Collins, and her husband, Perry Collins. Do you have a moment to talk? I gripped the phone tighter. Fraud investigation? Yes, sir. I'm sorry to contact you like this, especially so close to the holidays. Can we meet? I'd prefer to discuss this in person. Dad, her voice was soft and pleading. I know you're in there. Please, I just want to talk. Silence. I brought you a peace offering, your favorite cigars. I'm so sorry about everything. Perry is sorry too. We were stressed, and we said things we didn't mean. Please, can we just talk? I stood on the other side of the door, watching her through the peephole. We miss you, she continued. Perry has been miserable all weekend. He loves you so much, Dad. You're his family. Don't let one bad text message ruin everything. Family forgives. That's what family does. The manipulation was so obvious now. The soft voice, the gift, the appeal to family loyalty. I said nothing. After 5 minutes, Linda's expression changed. The sweetness drained away, replaced by frustration. She set the gift down roughly on the porch and left. I watched her car disappear, then opened the door and picked up the box. The cigars were cheap convenience store brand, not the expensive ones she claimed were my favorite. She hadn't even tried. Tuesday, I met Frank and 2 other friends from the Veterans Hall, Bill and Tom, for lunch. I'd been debating whether to tell them anything, but Frank had already guessed something was wrong. "Out with it," he said once we'd ordered. "You've been like a ghost." So I told them. Not everything, not the detective or the fraud investigation, but enough. The money, the cruel message, the confrontation. They were silent for a moment. Then Bill reached across the table and squeezed my shoulder. "You did the right thing." "Did I? She's my daughter." "And you're her father," Tom said firmly. "That doesn't mean she gets to treat you like garbage." My son tried something similar 6 years ago. Not this bad, but similar. You know what I did? I cut him off completely. Best decision I ever made. He got his life together eventually, came back, and apologized. But he had to hit bottom first. "What if Linda doesn't come back?" I whispered. Frank's voice was gentle. "Then she doesn't. Willard, you can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, not even your child. You deserve respect. You deserve kindness. If Linda can't give you that, then she doesn't deserve your money or your time." Something in me broke open then. I started crying right there in the restaurant, and my friends surrounded me. They didn't judge. They didn't tell me to forgive her. They just held me. "You're not alone," Bill said. "We're here, whatever you need." For the first time in days, I believed him. Can you explain why you told the court you had no family assets while you were draining my accounts? Can you explain why you took money from me under false pretenses?" "We were desperate." Perry's voice cracked, the calm facade shattering. "Do you have any idea what it's like? The creditors calling every day. The threats of foreclosure. We were drowning, Willard. We needed help. So you lied to me. We did what we had to do." I looked at my daughter. She was staring at the ground, her hands clenched into fists. "Linda," I said quietly, "look at me." She did. There were tears in her eyes now. "Did you ever love me? Or was I just a bank account to you?" "Dad, of course I love you." "Then why?" My voice broke. "Why did you treat me like I was nothing?" "I didn't mean." She choked on the words. "I was ashamed. I didn't want you to know how badly we'd screwed up. So I took your money, and I told myself it was temporary. That I'd pay you back once we got back on our feet. But then things got worse, and I needed more. And She stopped. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Dad." For a moment, I almost believed her, almost reached out to comfort her. But then Perry spoke. "This is all very touching, but can we focus on the actual problem? Willard, if you testify against us, we could go to prison. Federal prison. Is that what you want? To destroy your own daughter's life?" The manipulation was so naked, so obvious. "I didn't destroy anything," I said. "You did. By lying. By committing fraud. You're adults who made choices, bad choices. Now you have to face the consequences." Perry stepped forward, his face twisted with anger. "You selfish old man. You're sitting on Eleanor's whole fortune while we're losing everything. And you won't even. Get off my property." My voice was ice. "Both of you. Now." "We're not finished." Perry's attorney stood. "Your Honor, this is a family disagreement being blown out of proportion. The Collinses acknowledge the relationship has been strained, but they deny any threats or harassment. They love Mr. Hayes. They simply want to reconcile. Is that so?" Judge Patterson looked at Linda. "Mrs. Collins, did you send your father a text message saying, and I quote, 'They matter more than you do right now'?" Linda shifted uncomfortably. Yes, Your Honor. But I was upset. I didn't mean. Did you accept approximately $540,000 from your father over 9 years? He offered to help. Did you repay any of it?" Silence. "Mrs. Collins, did you file for bankruptcy 11 months ago?" "Yes, but..." "Did you report the money you received from your father to the bankruptcy court?" Her attorney touched her arm, but Linda was already answering. "No, but I didn't think I had to. It was a gift, not a loan. A gift you now claim to have a right to." The judge's voice was sharp. A gift you confronted your father about when he closed his own accounts. Perry leaned forward suddenly. Your Honor, may I speak? The judge looked surprised but nodded. Go ahead, Mr. Collins. Willard is being vindictive, Perry said, his voice shaking with emotion. He's upset that we chose to spend Christmas with my family instead of him. This whole thing is revenge. He wants to punish us for having our own lives. He's using the legal system to— Mr. Collins, the judge interrupted, did you tell your father-in-law, and I quote, "You selfish old man, you're sitting on Eleanor's whole fortune"? Perry hesitated. I was frustrated. He was being unreasonable. Did you or did you not use those words? Yes. I turned and walked toward my car, my head high. The battle was over. I'd won. 3 weeks later, on a cold January morning, I sat in Patricia's office again. This time, the news wasn't about protection. It was about justice. The federal prosecutor has formally charged Perry with bankruptcy fraud, Patricia said, sliding documents across her desk. 3 counts. If convicted, he's looking at up to 5 years in prison and substantial fines. I absorbed this in silence. 5 years? What about Linda? I asked. She's named as a co-conspirator, but she's cooperating with prosecutors in exchange for immunity. Essentially, she's testifying against Perry. Of course she was. When things got hard, Linda looked out for herself. There's more, Patricia continued. The bankruptcy trustee has seized their house. They're being evicted next month. The court has also frozen all their remaining assets pending the criminal investigation. They have nothing, Willard. They're completely broke. I should have felt something. Sympathy, regret, some paternal instinct to help, but I felt only a cold, clear certainty that this was justice. Perry tried to contact you last week, Patricia added, 4 times through intermediaries. His lawyer, Linda's mother, even a friend from his work, all asking if you would consider helping with his legal fees. What did you tell them? That you have a restraining order, and any further attempts to contact you would be reported to the police. They've stopped. Good. Patricia leaned back in her chair. Willard, I've handled a lot of family cases. This one is unusual because you held firm. Most parents in your position eventually cave. They pay the legal fees. They bail out their kids one more time. You didn't. Should I have? The jury deliberated for 5 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 3 years in federal prison with credit for time served. He'd be eligible for parole in 18 months if he showed good behavior and paid restitution. Restitution he didn't have. When Patricia told me, I sat quietly for a long moment. How do you feel? She asked gently. Like it's over, I said. Finally over. In May, I received a letter from Linda. It had been forwarded through Patricia, who'd reviewed it first to make sure it didn't violate the restraining order. It was 9 pages long, handwritten on yellow legal paper. She apologized. She explained. She detailed how Perry had controlled their finances, how the gambling addiction had started small and spiraled out of control, the debts that mounted, the panic, the lies. The way Perry had pushed her to ask me for more, always more. She blamed Perry. She blamed herself. She blamed her addiction to approval. At the end, she asked for forgiveness. Not money, not help, just forgiveness. I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer and didn't respond. Maybe someday I would forgive her. Maybe someday I'd reach out. But not today. Today I was healing. I was rebuilding my life without her, and that was enough. Summer came to Dayton with bright, golden warmth. I woke each morning to birdsong and coffee on my back porch, watching the neighborhood come alive. My life had changed in ways I hadn't expected. Frank had introduced me to his poker group, and I'd fallen in love with the group of men who gathered every Thursday evening to play cards and drink beer. They were smart, funny, irreverent. They made me laugh until my sides hurt. Bill had convinced me to volunteer at the senior center, helping residents with financial literacy classes, teaching them about budgets, savings, recognizing financial abuse. I found purpose in it, helping others avoid what I'd experienced. Tom and I had started taking woodworking classes together on Saturday mornings. I wasn't very good, but I didn't care. It was peaceful and meditative. In June, I took a trip to Montana that I'd been putting off for years. 5 days in a cabin near Glacier National Park, fishing and hiking. I went alone and loved every minute of it. I started dating again. Nothing serious. Just coffee with a retired nurse named Carol who made me laugh and never asked about my daughter. It was nice to feel wanted for myself, not my money. My house felt different now, lighter. I'd redecorated the guest room that had always been Linda's room into a workshop. I'd donated her childhood things that I'd been hoarding. I'd made the space mine. In October, Linda was arrested in Phoenix for writing bad checks. Multiple counts. She'd been running up bills all over town, writing checks from closed accounts. She'd made bail but was facing prosecution. Her expensive lawyer wasn't returning her calls. History repeating itself. I felt nothing when I heard. No satisfaction, no pity, just nothing. In November, Perry's parole officer called. Perry would be released in December, 3 months early for good behavior. He's asked permission to write you one more letter, the officer said, to let you know his release plans and assure you he won't be returning to this area. He's moving to Michigan to live with his brother. The letter came a week later. Just facts. His release date, his brother's address in Detroit, his intention to stay far away. I won't bother you anymore, Willard. I promise. You can live your life without worrying about me showing up. I'm sorry for everything. Please be happy. I read it once and put it with the others. Then I closed the drawer and went to meet Frank for lunch. My life was full, my heart was healing, and I was finally happy. So here I am, nearly 66 years old, living proof that it's never too late to stand up for yourself. I learned that love without respect is manipulation. That family doesn't give you the right to take advantage. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say no to the people you love most. My daughter made her choices. I made mine. I don't regret protecting myself. What would you have done? Would you have kept giving, or would you have drawn the line? Think about it. And if someone in your life is treating you like an ATM instead of a person, family or not, maybe it's time to close those accounts. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there find their own strength. Take care of yourselves. You deserve it.